Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the Tech Topics Podcast. As you guys probably have noticed, there has been a little bit of a lapse in uploads, but don't worry, we'll be back on schedule starting now. So, I do have a couple of topics for this particular podcast today. Uh, First of all, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 have now been released. So, if you were looking forward to next generation, if you were able to actually pre-order any of these consoles, great, great, great. They have now been officially released, and it's still not available to buy. uh, I'm hearing some sayings that they might be available for Black Friday and everything, which is definitely the day after Thanksgiving. So who knows? They might be in stock by then. Then hopefully you can pick one up. I myself probably going to wait till maybe next year. Give them time to actually get some consoles in where they're not out as soon as they release. But anyway, at the same time, I have done a next generation controller unboxing of the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. So if you are definitely interested in seeing that, you can watch it on the Showbo 99 main channel, on the main channel. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about is basically Nintendo. Now, this is something I wasn't going to talk about at first, but given the fact that Control has now come out on the Nintendo Switch. Now, this is interesting because this is something that I would have never thought that would have came to the Nintendo Switch. Given the fact that this game is barely running on the RTX 3090 at 8K, albeit. But they've actually got it on the Switch and it's able to play at maximum quality. Of course, at 720p, giving us this, Switch Lite screen. I don't know about on the television because I have the Lite version, so it's 720p. But anyway, the approach that they took to this is streaming. It's streaming the game, and I don't believe that this is the first game that does that. There has been a game in the past. I don't recall the name of it, but where they have streamed the game in the cloud. You just have to have a good enough internet connection in order to play it. The only downside that I did see so far is the fact that if the network is congested enough, you will get kicked out, which is basically what happened to me when I was trying to get in. Even though there was like maybe 8 people ahead of me, but I don't know. I'll try it again. So the next bit of news I want to talk about is RDNA 2, or Big Navi. So AMD has reported that the RDNA 2 architecture is 100% greater than the GCN architecture and 50% greater than RDNA 1 or RDNA. So given the fact that it is now able to use DirectX ray tracing, so they have definitely partnered with Microsoft or worked closely with Microsoft to be able to bring these features to AMD's architecture and in their GPU this next generation. Given the fact that it's in the next generation of consoles, it kind of gave you an indication of how powerful this GPU is. Given the fact that the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 are targeting 8K resolution, I don't know why they said that. The RTX 3090 is barely hitting 8K 60. But just like the last generation of consoles did with 4K by using checkerboard rendering, These consoles can use two 4K images and mesh them together to make one 8K super sampled uh, image. So basically, half and half stitched together. Now, AMD is not targeting 8K resolution. That has been made clear. They are targeting 4K. 4K is still not an easy resolution to attain, given the fact that most monitors are not 4K. This one here is 1080p, which used to be the norm. Since then, resolution have gone up to 1440p, which is basically the sweet spot for this GPU is 1440p and 4K, but mostly 1440p at 200 frames per second. At 4K, it hits 60 frames per second maxed out. This is what we have been told. The architecture is basically twice the bandwidth of last generation, and using 0.9 times the amount of power. So in other words, it's giving you a much higher bandwidth within its architecture while using less power. It actually uses less power than the last generation RDNA, which is great. So you don't have to over capacity your power supply. Your power supply won't be overused, and pretty much you can run in high fidelities for gaming. That's basically what they're targeting this as. So if you guys know that AMD CPUs use the Infinity Fabric to stitch together all these different fabrics within its compound, so it can keep things running smoothly and there is less latency. So they have basically done the exact same thing to their GPU called Infinity Cache, which is basically the same thing as their CPU. So just like I talked about in episode 8, when meshed together, you can experience very, very high quality gaming as well as performance because they all mesh together. Basically an Infinity Fabric bridge that pretty much comes together within the 6000 series and the 5000 series CPU. So, moving on from that, moving on from AMD, Apple announced its new MacBooks. So basically, Apple is now using their own custom chips, as well as Intel-based chips, and there's APUs. So basically, Apple GPU, Intel CPU. Now, Intel's mobile chips are pretty good. The reason why I know that is because of its Surface Pro 7. When it's using 1 gigabyte of VRAM, it is very powerful for a laptop standpoint. And it was a Core i5. So I can imagine with the next generation 11 series mobile processor, it should be even greater fidelity in the mobile space, which is definitely an uplift of what we need. Because basically mobile chips have been for a while now. But basically guys, let me know what you think of these topics. Let me know what you think of AMD and its 6000 series cards. Let me know what you think about Nintendo's approach to maybe how they're going to approach next generation, which was very surprising to me that they're actually using game streaming, which could really come in handy when it comes to dealing with much higher fidelity games. For instance, Control, or any other game that is going to be coming out for the next generation. So Switch is actually handling current generation pretty well. So let's see how it does down the line, or maybe Nintendo is actually thinking about a next generation console that might be targeting 4K. We'll see. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining me on this Tech Topics episode 9. And as per usual, guys, if you would like to support this channel, you can do it through PayPal, through Venmo, through Patreon, become a monthly subscriber. You can basically buy some merch through teespring.com/shovel99. You can support this channel also through the affiliate links down below. And as always, guys, see you next Saturday.